Hi, Marie. Uh,
Hi, Joyce.
hi, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, good. So thank you so much for doing this interview, Marie. So I met you, oh gosh, maybe 3 years ago, perhaps, or 2 years ago?
I think it was about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yes, when I was living in Melbourne, which is under severe COVID lockdown at the moment. So I don't envy you.
No, it's been tough.
Yeah. But yeah, I met you in Melbourne. I was part of a UFO group, the UFOA group there. We were investigating UFOs and anyone that had contact with ETs. And you were one of the people that contacted us. And I was just really fascinated by your experiences. You've had a lot of them.
I have had a lot. I mean, since childhood.
Okay, and maybe that might be a good place to start. So just a bit about Marie. Marie works as a nurse. She's living in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and you didn't pursue paranormal interests, education, or anything like that. I mean, you were just like
no. Yeah. I am now. Yeah. I am now, but I didn't then. It just sort of came to me. So.
Okay, so tell me your earliest memory.
Yeah. Well, look, I did do a few notes. I didn't want to forget anything, but really it all started, and this was my main memory of it. I had an experience when I was about 7 or 8, and Mum was ironing in the lounge room, and we had an old house that had a fireplace in the lounge, and there was a whooshing sound coming down the chimney, and I remember sticking my head up the chimney and I could hear it going whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I said to Mum, "What's that?" And she goes, "Go out in the backyard and have a look." Yeah, all right. So she kept ironing and I ran out the back, and I remember looking up at the chimney and I couldn't see anything, but I could hear, and I could hear the shape. Does that sound odd? I could hear something spinning around going woo, woo, woo above the chimney. And then all of a sudden I heard a zip up, and then that was it, and it was gone. And since then, a lot of odd things have happened. Nothing's been the same, actually. And I do remember a memory of being at school, and I was around about that age in grade 1, and these men in black suits turned up. And what they did is they took us kids aside and they were holding cards, and we had to guess what was on the card. And I can't remember what I said, but what I do remember is being taken into another room with another girl, and we were asked to take our clothes off, and we were in our undies and our singlets. And why it's stuck in my head, why I remember at such a young age, is because I felt really embarrassed because I was in front of these men with my undies and singlet on. And then they started to take measurements of our arms and legs and even around our head, and they did physicals on us, and then put your clothes back on and off we went. And I didn't even think of that as part of the paranormal experience until much later on, when I started to investigate things and heard about people like the Men in Black and all the rest of it. And then I thought, oh God, I had this experience. Just that is odd.
Did your parents know about this? Did you tell them what happened?
It was in the 70s. They would do things in schools, like you'd get the knit nurse coming and checking your hair, and there was no signing of forms or anything, just things would happen, and you'd come home, and I can't remember discussing it with Mum. But quite obviously I did, but I can't remember anything. And Mum would have just shrugged it off. Oh, well, that's just something that they did at school,
Right. And you were 7 years old, did you say?
I must have, I was in grade 1. So I would say I was about 7.
Okay.
7, yeah.
What school was that?
That was Brighton Road.
Okay.
Brighton Road Primary School in St Kilda.
Mm-hmm.
And we had lots of other paranormal things happen in the home which we thought were ghosts. So, you know, the old thing where you would hear something at nighttime walking up and down the hall just where that creak is, you know, and nothing would pass your room, and music boxes going off. And just as, you know, I was there with my mum and the music box went off in my sister's room and she wasn't home at the time. And we walked up to the door, put our hand on the handle, and the music box stopped. We walked away, it started up again. And we came back, put our hand on the handle, and it stopped. And I'm only little and all of this is happening. I was like terrified because music boxes are spooky anyway, right? In the middle of the night. And anyway, I remember Mum flew open the door and the music box had stopped, and she picked it up and we looked at it. It was one of those ones that wound up on the bottom on a base. It was actually an angel.
Okay.
And yeah, and we looked at it and it stopped and wasn't going, and we put it back on the mantel shelf, shut the door. As soon as we shut the door, it started going again. So creepy things like that.
And your sister was there, so
My sister wasn't there. No, she wasn't home.
Okay.
And the next day we told her and she goes, thanks, you let me go back to a bedroom when something could have been there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also we had things like growing up, and it felt like something was sitting at the end of the bed, like the sheets and the blankets would go tight.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew something was there, and it's too scared to have a look. You know, you put the blankets up like that, too terrified to have a look.
Mm-hmm.
It's very creepy. And as I was growing up and becoming a teenager, different things started to happen. So we heard voices. So we started to hear, my mum could hear me calling, and she'd come up to me and she'd go, what do you want? And I said, I never called you. And then I would hear my mum saying, Marie, come quick. And I'd run up to her and she goes, what? You know, I didn't do it. But it was our voices. So whatever it was or is can mimic your voices. And that has continued. So as I was getting older through my 20s and different boyfriends and stuff like that, it happened to them where they would hear me calling and I would hear their voice calling.
Wow.
So it's around me. It's around me.
Yes. So interesting. Going back to the school when the men in black came, do you remember what they looked like and what were they wearing?
I remember they had dark suits on, and I remember one person took his suit jacket off and he had a white shirt with a black tie on. But that's all I remember.
Mm-hmm. And what did they introduce themselves as?
I can't remember them introducing. Oh, that's another thing why I was scared too. I mean, here we are being shoved into a room asking to take our clothes off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
scary.
That's pretty vulnerable position to be in. And interesting, you know, like if they're medicos, you wouldn't be wearing a black tie and a suit.
That's true. I never thought about that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Wow. Just going back to when you were, you heard that whirling sound in the pot oven,
in the chimney.
The chimney.
Yeah.
And your mum said, "Go and look out there."
She said, yeah, she goes, go in the backyard and have a look, because it was coming down the chimney, the sound. So I went out in the backyard and I looked up to the top of the chimney and I could hear something going woo, woo, woo. And then all of a sudden it went zip, like there was this zipping up sound, zip, like that.
Yeah.
And then it was, but I couldn't see anything. I could only hear it.
Okay. I'm getting a vision of, like, you know, a UFO, you know, going woo, woo.
Oh, yeah.
When it
Absolutely.
goes.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think I think there was a chance I was visited, and I think I still am being visited. So.
Okay, so tell me a bit more then. So throughout, growing up, you're hearing your name being called, and those around you hear your voice. You hear.
I've had paranormal activity that I used to think were ghosts, and it was only until I got a bit older and something happened where I thought, this is odd, I don't know if it is ghosts, but now I'm thinking it's a combination of both. Mm-hmm. So I've also had other things happen. I've had 2 out-of-body experiences where one of them, this is when I was in my 30s, and I remember I was in bed and I sat upright and I saw my boyfriend's dead father standing next to the bed with a woman. And they were talking and they were saying, this sounds so odd, but it was hot. And you know, when you're hot, you sort of sleep like this. And he goes to her, he goes to the woman, he goes, oh, they're sleeping in a strange position. And then they both turn and look at me. And I'm looking at them. And then they go like this and they look behind me. And I'm going, what are they looking at? And I turn behind me and it's me. I see myself lying in bed. And as soon as I saw myself, I got such a fright. I went like snapped back. Uh-huh. And then I sat upright and I could no longer see them.
Wow.
I could no longer see them there. But I swear, Joyce, they were dressed. He was in a suit. He had a suit on. His hair was brushed. I have no idea who the woman was, but she had long dark hair and her hair was brushed and they were clean and neat, and it was bizarre. It was bizarre. And the second thing that happened to me was I was asleep and then all of a sudden I was looking at the back of my head. It was like I was still on the pillow, but I could see the back of my head, and all of a sudden I could feel my body shaking, and then I sort of snapped back into it. Mm-hmm. So that was the second time where I had an out of body, though I think I've had lots of out of bodies. But what's been happening is that I go to bed and go to sleep and find myself awake in parts of the house. And when that happens, I get really scared because I feel hands around my waist and I feel going up through the roof. And I can feel the hands around my waist lifting me up through the roof. Sometimes it used to be through the wall. Mm-hmm. And just as I got to the point of my head touching the roof or my body touching the wall, something in my head would tell me to pray to God. And I'm not a religious person. And I remember the first time this happened where I felt the hands around my waist and I started to go up. And I'm not religious and I'm trying to remember the Lord's Prayer. And I'm going, our Father who art in heaven. And I'm trying to think of the words. And then I just said, Jesus. And then I woke up in bed like this. You know, people will say that's a dream. You'll get people who say that's a dream. It's not a dream. It's not a dream. You know a dream. I'm in the house looking around. I'm in the house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, it was very physical, and the house looked just like how your house would look. It was
absolutely. And I had this night after night after night, right? Something holding me. You could feel the hands. I could literally feel the hands, but they felt small. The hands felt like children's hands. And then something happened at work, and it was Christmas time. And I was with a co-worker, and we were in the tea room, and she was next to me, and a lollipop fell from midair and fell and landed on the ground between us. And we were like, what the hell, where did that come from? Where did that lollipop come from? And I mean, you know, it was just crazy. Anyway, I came home that night and
Did you get the lollipop? Did you get the lollipop? Did you?
No, I threw it away. I was scared.
Okay.
I'm a big chicken. And then I came home and I thought it was Ghosty that did it. So I said, was that you, Ghosty, that threw the lollipop? Well, that night I had sleep paralysis. This is the first time I've ever had it. And I'm lying in bed and I opened up my eyes and I saw about a 3-foot being, hooded being at the end of my bed holding a bloody lollipop.
Wow.
It held a lollipop and then it walked around the bed to my side table, and all I could do was do that with my eyes like that and follow it with my eyes. I could not move my body. I woke up and I was so terrified. And then I quickly started to Google it. What the hell did I just see? What the hell just happened? And then I started to get, it started to just go from there. I couldn't stop looking at it and I realized it's not Mr. Ghosty, that's Mr. Alien, that's Mr. E.T.
Oh,
I think that's
what makes you think it's Mr. E.T. rather than a ghost?
He was solid. This being was solid. It had, I looked it up too. I'm not the only one who's had sleep paralysis and seen the hooded little beings at the end of the bed. But my second encounter was more terrifying for me. I mean, it doesn't even sound terrifying. Why should you be scared of something holding a lollipop, right? The fact is I couldn't move.
Yes, and sleep paralysis is one of the most frightening things.
Yeah,
and I've experienced that too.
Have you?
Terrifying.
Did you see anything?
I felt things, like I would feel that there's someone coming into the room, and I felt the hands as well.
You
felt the hands on my body, and it's like they're wanting to, sort of around my chest and under my arms, like pressing under my arms, and it was so uncomfortable. You know how that uncomfortable when someone tickles you, but it's actually not very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I couldn't do anything about it because I was paralyzed. And I could feel the intent was really negative. And like you, I'm not religious, but I said the Lord's Prayer. That was all I could think of.
How interesting. It snaps you out of it. It's a trigger to snap us out of it. But what's telling us in our brains to do that? I have no idea. There is something else there that is on our side, I think, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I had another encounter where I went to bed and I woke up in the bathroom in front of the full mirror. And I was looking at myself and next to me was the hooded being and I couldn't move, but I could move my eyes. Strangely enough, I was standing and I was like this, but I could see it in the mirror as well. And the hooded being, out from under its hood, a set of jaws came out, and we're talking about rows and rows of rotating teeth. Mm-hmm. And it was rotating. The teeth were going like this. And as it was rotating, it was sucking. And I could feel my soul or my life force being sucked out. But before it was being sucked out, it induced terror in me that I have never felt before. I have never felt so scared in my life. The terror was incredible. Even now, I could burst into tears just thinking of the terror that I experienced, seeing that and having that. I felt my soul being sucked out of me. Anyway, it said to pray to God, and I woke up. And then I don't think I tried Googling that if anyone else has seen anything like that, but I haven't found anyone who has experienced that. And I have.
Yes, someone I know. Yes, and she had that. She described it like a worm, and it had rotating teeth.
Yes,
and it was rotating, and that absolute terror. Yes. And she said the same thing, felt like essence and her soul was being sucked. It was trying to suck her soul out. Yeah. So interesting.
Amazing. It induced fear to eat something from me. It was eating my energy. It was eating my fright, my fear. It was eating my fear. It was.
Yeah.
I even now, and I can't believe it. I mean, that the poor person. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, I know what it feels like. How sometimes you think of it and you just think, am I going mad? What the hell's going on here?
Yeah. No.
But can I ask you, Joyce, do you think that first thing I saw that had the lollipop and the second thing I saw with the rotating jaw, do you think they were the same thing, or do you think they're different? Because there was a third entity I have seen as well, and he is completely different. But these two had hooded capes on. You couldn't actually see their faces. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they might be different, but they might have a common, they might all like to eat energy.
Yes.
Maybe they work together.
Do you think that it was a grey, the first entity was a grey? Because I've heard that they like
to when you said tiny hands and that lollipop might, did you get anything telepathic? As to, it sounds like, the lollipop was trying to, they think that's something that will gain your.
Oh yeah, I mean that was it. That was the point where I started to look into them and realize that I'm not dealing with ghosts here. I'm dealing with something else. The third entity, I went to bed and I woke up in a room in the house, and I felt hands around my waist, but this time it was standing in front of me, and I saw what it was. And it was a silver being, and it was silver like mercury. It was shiny like mercury, and it was holding me, and we were going up together through the roof, and oh my God, I hit it. I went like this, pow, and I hit it in the head. And when I hit it in the head wobbled. It actually went blah, 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 blah. And it was like that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, where the policeman chased him, and it was silver mercury. And when he was shot, he would fall apart, but then he would blobble and come back again. It was like that. It was like a mercury man. And when I hit it, I felt like I frightened it. And it was so almost like taken back that I hit him, and it dropped me. And I remember we were up high, and he dropped me and I fell. And I said, I feel really sorry for you. I'm going to pray for you. I don't know where that came from. I said, I feel really sorry for you. I'm going to pray for you. And I started praying, and I woke up. And I often have regrets of hitting the silver being, because I don't know, I think it's shown itself to me, and I think that there's a possibility I could have seen things that I've, I don't know.
Why would you regret it?
I don't know. I've done a bit of reading about people who have had contact, and they seem to remember so much about being on craft and people talking to them and telling them this and that and all the rest of it. I just feel like maybe I've missed an opportunity by hitting it in the head, but I mean, I did get a fright, so it frightened the life out of me.
Yeah. But what awaited you could be even more terrifying. That's true. That's yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. But I know you've got this quest. You really want to know what it was. Who are these things? What are these things?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they are. But then you're mixing that with also, EVPs that I'm picking up are human ghosts or human people. I mean, we've had an old man in this place mumbling on for ages, you know, that we can pick up. And then it doesn't make sense. It sounds like it's in a different language when I listen to the EVPs. I can pick up an EVP like that. I can just sit here and just put the recorder on and just get an EVP. And it's like they're around me all the time. I've been at work and I've been actually sneakily put my recorder on at work, and it's like, it's right next to me, for God's sake.
Right.
So it's very strange.
There's a lot of, activity around you. Like you said, you know, they're around you, they're attracted to you. And maybe because you are quite a psychic person, maybe you're very open.
I can sense, I can sense when there's something around, for sure. But, you know, oh, well, this will scare you. We've had in this house, I've seen sightings of my husband twice, and he hasn't been there. So once I was in the kitchen cutting up food, and I turned around to the oven and I saw him laughing and running past the door. And I went, what are you up to? And I went like that behind the door. No, he wasn't there. He was upstairs. He wasn't there. So it's not only can it mimic your voice, it can mimic what you look like as well. You know, so
yes, definitely. Do you know what your husband was doing upstairs?
Probably reading.
You didn't ask him? You didn't ask him?
No. And the other time we had family over, and I was sleeping on the couch because the little kids were sleeping in the lounge, and he came and I saw him sitting in the lounge like this, watching the children on the floor sleeping. And then the next day I said to him, or both myself and his daughter said, oh, we saw you coming in and watching us. And he goes, no, I never did.
Wow. And has your husband witnessed a lot of paranormal stuff with you in the house?
Yeah, he has. I mean, about 2 years ago, almost when we had the first lockdown situation here in Melbourne, we started to hear a hum, and the hum just every night there was this huge hum outside, almost like a helicopter was just hovering in the sky. And my husband and I, you know, we'd look out the window, nothing there, and it just continued night after night after night. And then we'd sort of wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'd go, can you hear that? Can you hear that? And we could hear people singing. We could hear women singing, and we could hear things like people making breakfast downstairs, and dishes and cups and spoons, you know, that clanking sound. And even when my kids were with me, my son especially used to experience someone making breakfast in the kitchen. So there's thoughts on maybe the ghosts that lived here before are just getting on with it and just doing what they're doing and just, I don't know, just living, I suppose. And we're hearing the living voices, or maybe it's a recording and we're hearing something that they used to do in the home, or I don't know. I just can't, you know, the more that you look into it, the more stranger it is, and you get mixed information about everything, and it's hard to know what it is.
Do you know the history of the house?
I do know that an old man used to live here with his daughter. He could have died here. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. I had an experience too, like I was in my kitchen one day. It was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw one of my friends in my kitchen in a flash. In a flash, yeah. In a flash. And then it really startled me. And then later on, when I met up with him, I asked him what he was doing on that day at that time, and he said he was asleep. So I was wondering whether he visited me, like out-of-body experience. Yeah, maybe. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Marie, remember when we did that that hypnosis session? Yeah, that was my first hypnosis, and I actually remember things. It was really interesting, and I'd love to do it again, actually.
It was very interesting. When you were putting me under the hypnosis, I started to go up higher and higher and higher, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And then all of a sudden I had memories of being on a craft, and not unpleasant, but for me, it just seemed like I was young. I wasn't my age. I felt like I was younger. And the most astounding thing was I remember being on the table and I couldn't move and I was paralyzed. And I remember seeing a grey to the left of me, and I was crying. And I remember the tears going down my face because I was really terrified. And all of a sudden I could see, well, there were no doors. It was just like something opened. And instead of an ET coming in or a grey coming in, it was a woman. It was a human. A human woman walked in, and she came right up to me, and she looked at me, and she looked at the tears in my eyes. And then she looked at the grey and she goes, she's scared. That's what she said to the grey. Like the grey didn't understand what was coming out of my eye. And she just looked at me, looked at the grey and said, she's scared, and then walked off. And then I remember having a second sort of vision or during regression, and I was running in the craft, and I know I must have been small, and because I was running away from that lady that I'd seen, and she had two smaller people with her, and they weren't greys, they looked like humans. And I hid, and I remember there was a little alcove, and I sort of hid, and she found me, and she bent down and she goes, I'm not going to hurt you. And they were my memories that I had. I think the shock was that I saw a person, a human.
Wow, describe what she looks like.
She looked like she was in her 50s or 50s, maybe late 50s, and she had blondie hair, and she looked like a European, she had like Dutchy German type of look to her, to me anyway. But definitely authority figure. You could see that she ran things, you know. She was just, the way she walked in, looked at me and then looked at the grey and said she's scared, but just as a matter of fact as well, you know what I mean? I'm crying my eyes out.
Like she didn't offer to, she didn't comfort you. It was like really, wasn't she quite cold?
She was really, really cold about it, but the grey next to me seemed actually really concerned.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
And was she in uniform? What was she wearing?
It was strange. It was almost like a dated twin piece that she had on, like a skirt and a sort of a jacket, but a bit dated. If you sort of remember what they used to wear in the 50s and the 60s type of thing, a bit like that, a bit dated.
And the grey, tell me more about the grey. What did he look like?
Well, I'm calling him a grey, though I couldn't say that his colour of his skin was grey, because it sort of looked like a creamy bluey eggshell, you know, that eggshell blue or whatever they'd call it. It had a light tinge to it. And I can't remember if he had clothes on. I can't remember that.
And who else was with you?
No, we were in the room, just us two. There was no one else. The room was silver. It was just all silver. And there was no one there, and there was no machinery. I couldn't see any lights. I couldn't see anything. And there was just in a silver room, but I felt like I was on a silver slab, if you know what I mean, like those things that you see on the movies, you know, the coroner slab type of things, you know, those silver sort of slabby steel beds.
Like in the morgue?
A morgue, yeah.
Yeah. No comfort.
No comfort.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I was surprised I got those visions because I thought, no, I don't know if I believe in hypnosis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I'm not sure. Then all of a sudden, wow, that's crazy. It happened.
Yeah, it seemed like it was most unexpected.
Yeah.
I was doing hypnosis for a different reason. It wasn't to recover memories, and that just came.
Yeah, it just came. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Things are still happening around the house. I'm still getting bits and pieces happening, but not of the ET kind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a few years ever since I hit that silver being in the head.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 2 or 3 years ago. It stopped. I hadn't been, well, all but once. The other day, I took these photos in the backyard, what I thought were a bit strange, and it turned out it was nothing but moon glow. But that night, I had a really unusual feeling of being sucked up through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not long ago. So, but other than that, nothing.
Tell me what happened just before that you took that photo. You said something and then you went outside.
Yeah, so I go out and I take photos outside and I say, show yourself. And I did. I went out and said, show yourself. And then I took those photos and, I think it's been proven that it is moon glow or something like that.
Is it proven or just someone's opinion?
As well, someone's opinion.
One person or more than one person?
No, just one person.
One person, yeah.
Yeah.
I had another person say it looks like it was behind.
Oh, that's true. So my photographer friend said, I don't know what that could be. And that's interesting because he's a professional photographer. And he said to me, I said, could it be my camera that did this big orb, that I've got photos of? And he said, well, it's behind the building, he said.
Mm-hmm.
So I presume that if it was the camera, wouldn't it be in front of the building or anyway? I don't know.
Impose. Should we have a look at the photo? Do you have it, Andy?
No, I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Let me have a look at it. Good. Here's one of them. I can see the stars.
Yeah, you can see through it, and you can almost see a grating through it, which made me think that maybe it had something to do with the camera.
Okay. Ah.
Or the Matrix.
Yes. It looks like it's behind the building. Like it's.
Yeah, that's what he said to me. He said it's behind.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
What else? Oh, there's that pink glow.
So that's the moon. So that other person said that the mobile phone couldn't cope with the glow of the full moon, which I found fascinating that it would make a circle there when I thought it would be more a halo around the moon, not away from the moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh, and that's your house?
Yeah.
You take a photo for reference?
Yeah.
Reference?
And see the grating? Can you see it? It looks like a waffle.
Yes, it looks like a waffle.
Yeah.
Wow. And again, it looks like it's behind the building.
Looks like it's behind the building.
And the interesting thing is you actually said show yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Like you communicated and this came.
And then that happened, but it could just be a coincidence. I mean, I walk out there and say, show yourself all the time. And then
Oh, do you? Oh, really? Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Interesting anyway. Now, any recordings?
Yeah, but these, remember, okay, I'm going to have to see how I can do this. Okay. All right, I've got some here. and I'm going to tell you what I think what they're saying, okay? So here we go. So I think this one says, live on and on. Maybe not.
Okay, wow.
Do you think that said live on and on?
It sounds like it, but that's because you told me. So that's what I got in my head. So maybe the next one, don't tell me what you think, only tell me after.
All right, here we go. Tell me what you think this one says.
I'm really sad.
I'm really sad. No?
I'm really sad. I'm really sad.
I think it says I'm really excited.
Oh.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Do you think?
Yes, say it again. Put it.
I'm really sad.
Yes. So tell me, where was this recorded and what context?
Yeah, just in the home. So I would just do things, I'd hear a noise. So we hear a series of bangs in the house when he wants to know that it's there. And sometimes it happens when I'm trying to sleep and I have to say to him, look, I've got to get up early tomorrow. Can you just not bang? And it's not just me. So my husband hears the bangs too. And then I put the recorder on when we hear the bangs and you get these little noises and voices. And it's
Who
this
do you
old
think
man.
it is? You think it's the old man?
Yeah, he definitely sounds like an old man. Sometimes he sounds like he's talking gibberish, but other times it sounds like he's talking another language. I'll play this one for you.
Okay.
I think it says it's everlasting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I couldn't pick it. I didn't know what he was saying, but
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Everlasting.
I'll play if I
Yeah. Okay.
play this one. You can hear girl, can't you, at the end of that?
Okay. Yes. Counting something? I don't know. What do you think?
Don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Let's do number 46. Now, I think this says we're old.
Okay. I thought he said 0.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, you see, it's tricky,
I
isn't
don't
it?
know. Okay, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
All right.
You think yet?
All right.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'll play this one's better, I think. This
Okay.
one. Here we go.
Where are you? Under no?
I thought it said, where are you in the nude?
Oh!
You
Say
listen.
it again. Oh!
And you know what? I hate it because
I know it was you.
when I'm in the bathroom, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are you watching me in the toilet or something?
Do you feel like you're being watched?
Yeah. Okay, this is a good one.
Oh my.
I think it says, I see the color.
Oh gosh, I don't know how you got that. Wow, I could not make
A
it.
lot of times I think EVPs are much easier to hear when you've got earplugs in too, you know.
Okay.
You can pick it up.
Oh
Now
yes, we should listen to this with earplugs.
Yeah, this one's supposed to say my name. Here we go. Maybe not. No, that doesn't sound like Maria, does it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you slow it down? Do you have?
Oh, yeah, on my phone I can, but not on this. Here, this one's supposed to say, hey, Marie.
somehow I think I can hear it when I look at it closely. But
what's this one? I'll just keep going. In the yard.
okay.
Oh.
Oh, that sounds creepy.
Yeah. Maria?
Oh, yes. Yes, Maria.
I reckon. What's 873? All right. This supposedly is everything is dark.
Okay, probably needs earphones. So did you say it's supposed to be everything is dark? Is that, how do you know it's supposed to be?
No, I don't know. That's
Okay.
just what I think it sounds like.
Mhm.
And 898, I think, says there are 5.
Oh, that's really clear.
Yeah,
So
there are 5.
play it again one more time.
Yep.
There are 5. Wow.
903. What's 903? Oh, I can't make heads or tails of what this one is. It sounds like it's backwards.
All's right or all's black?
Oh, yeah, it does.
All's right? All is right?
Yeah, maybe. The last one is here to help, I think, anyway.
Well, they're really nice ones compared to what I've heard from others.
Yeah, they're
Here to help.
Oh no, but I just didn't play the ones that swear. So there is Mr. Swearing.
Okay.
There is just like F you. You can hear it all the time. So there are lots of them, and
Yes.
there's a sweary one.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what makes people scared. And then people start saying, oh, they're the lower spirits, the ones that swear all the time, and why they're swearing, and why are any of them here? I don't know.
Yeah. So we came to your place. We had some ghost investigators, and we had a psychic medium and cleared the place. I know the music box was just going off, and the EMF and the Ghost Pro was going off that night.
Yeah.
But after we cleared it, what was your experience?
After the cleansing happened, it actually worked. And for a few months, it was great. It was always quiet, and it felt lighter, which was, it's a strange feeling to have. It just felt lighter. But maybe something dark did go, and maybe the nice light ones just remained. I always have to question things. I mean, I look into things like reincarnation and stuff like that, and people are saying that there are levels, and earthbound spirits must be evil spirits and all the rest of it, and why aren't they being reincarnated? Why aren't they gone to the light and God and all the rest of it? And I don't know. I can't make my mind up of why they're here. What are they doing? And and then when I go back to when I saw my boyfriend, when I had that out of body and I saw his dead father next to the bed. I mean, maybe there isn't reincarnation as such. I don't know. But then I saw him only 2 weeks after he had died. So maybe there is a certain amount of time on earth before you get flustered up. Not me though, I'm going somewhere else on some sort of spaceship or something. But can I just say another couple of other things just on that subject? Yeah. So I've had ongoing dreams since I was a child, and the same dream over and over and over again, where I look up at the stars and the stars started to move. And I'm looking at them as they're moving, and I can't believe it. And everyone else around me is looking up, and they start to fight. And the stars are fighting each other. And then I realized they're not stars, they're craft, and they're fighting each other. It's like two two lots of ETs fighting each other in the sky, and everyone's running. It's really like War of the Worlds type of stuff happening in the sky. And as we're running, everybody that has alien DNA have no choice, but they have to be taken back. And that's a biblical type of story. And but where the hell? I mean, I've been dreaming the same story since a child. Same thing, that anyone that's got alien DNA have to be taken up before something is going to happen to the earth.
And what's the feeling? Was it
There's an invasion. The feeling is that there's an invasion from another entity group, and certain people won't be here for it. Certain people. And I had this crazy dream once, must have been about 20 years ago, and I remember I just started to float up and up and up and up, and it felt like I was in a beam of light. And I remember looking up and I could see a craft, and they were going, no, leave her, she's got alien DNA, or our DNA, they would say, in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. But also, just one more thing I wanted to say, when I was in my 20s, I was pregnant, and I went to have a scan, and the sac was empty. The baby was gone, and the sac was whole, and it was complete, and the embryo had disappeared. And the explanation was that the sac had absorbed the embryo. But when I look up some things about people who have had experiences, some women have had this experience of, and a feeling of loss of the baby, like the baby's been taken away. And it's not, I don't know, it just seems very strange, you know, when you speak to people who've had experiences, and they seem, a lot of women have had that experience. I mean, if I did have an embryo that was taken away, and she would be 32 now in birth.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, there are a lot of cases all over the world of women pregnant, and then it was taken away. It was a sense of loss. And
yeah,
I think there was one that the Australia Institute of Parapsychological Research, Rob Tilley was looking into this lady in Sydney, and she had a pregnancy, and then it was taken. I don't know the details, so should let Rob tell the story. But she also had implants inside her. There was one in her throat, but at the time she didn't want a surgeon to take it out or anything like that, because she was going through a lot of other problems. So I wouldn't be surprised, I've read a lot and talked to a lot of people too, experiences, and there seems to be quite a common theme of like a breeding program. Using humans' sperm or eggs to make hybrids. And interesting too that when you were at school, the men in black came and measured you to see, are you one of them? Have you got part of their DNA? Perhaps. I think, looking at, there were so many things that's happened in your life, and looking at all of those things in combination, there's a pattern, and there's certainly a pattern of contact in close encounters. And the stars fighting, there's been some famous cases like the Battle of LA, where people saw these lights just shooting like they were having a big war. My opinion is, I think it happens a lot. I think it's all cloaked, but there's UFOs up in the sky having their Star Wars.
I think you're right. I think they are cloaked, and I think there's a possibility that for some people, a bit some psychic people can actually see through that veil, you know, and that's why some people can see ghosts as well as entities. There's that veil that seems to disappear for some people. Oh, this is interesting. So when I get extremely stressed, light bulbs can pop, and televisions stop working, and even tram had stopped working.
Really? Wow.
Blood pressure machines can just start to stop or start to pump up and take someone's blood pressure when no one's there, and all sorts of things. And also once I had an extremely stressful moment, and I was driving a car and I got a real fright. And I remember looking in the rearview mirror, and I saw someone sitting there in the rearview mirror. Someone was sitting in the back seat looking out the window, and it was a human ghost. But what brought it on that I could shift that veil and see it through the rearview mirror was the fact that I got a fright. I was highly tense. So there are certain things that our bodies can do, are very electric people, and can produce things and energy for entities to eat. But also maybe we could tap into this energy that we have for other things. I mean, I'd love to be able to have a gift of to be able to see spirits, maybe to help people in that, but I don't, but I'd like to. I also like the Powerball numbers. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh yes, yeah. That's the biggest question. You know, why don't the psychics get the Powerball numbers? And and then I get told, well, you don't get to know everything. There wouldn't be any challenges in your life otherwise.
Oh, who needs challenges, right? Not me. I'm too.
Oh, yes. Bit of challenge here and there can help you grow, but you might get bored if everything was too easy.
How can I get bored? So many things happening around me.
Yes, but you need some things that you can't control, some things that are unexpected.
True.
Otherwise, it's boring to be able to predict everything.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't do that. I have dreams sometimes of future things, but it's only of television, like a dream of a television show, and then coincidentally turn the television on and that show's playing. So it's nothing exciting. Yeah.
Still, it's precognition.
Yeah, but it's always television. I must spend too much time in front of the telly or something.
But you know what, going back to what you were talking about, our bodies are electrical. We are very, energy. There's a lot of energy, electrical energy in us.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there's that saying that if you're a negative person, you're going to attract negativity into your life, and that's when people start to have things happen to them that are not good, you know, and that's when they say you're attracting dark forces and evil and all the rest of it. I think there's something in that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you unknowingly you can attract, like what you'll put out, your thoughts. Every thought has an energy, and your emotions. I think emotions are enormously powerful.
Yeah.
So well.
you could just imagine with these lockdowns how much of a feed those entities are getting at the moment, right? Exactly. And that makes me think about this lockdown a lot, whether who's really producing this lockdown, who's in control of it all. What are we doing? Are we feeding something? Yeah,
all the time. Yes. Fear.
Yeah, fear. Wow. Fear. Like a candy fest.
Terror, angry. Yeah. Candy fest. Lollipop, candy for them. Yeah. That's really interesting. Your dream about these UFOs coming, and they're saying you're coming with us. You're one of us.
Yeah. And it's not just me. There's a line of people, and I don't want to go. I never want to go. never, never. And then I remember one of the dreams, the person looked me right in the eye, and I looked at her in the eye, and I could read her thoughts. It was like it was telepathic. And she said, you have to go, no choice, you have to go. So,
do you have an idea of which ET group you have a shared DNA with?
no, I don't know. No.
Do you think the Greys might be one or not?
I don't know. I mean, how could you come to that? How do we come to a conclusion of what it could be? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Blood group? Do you green eyes? I've got green eyes.
Oh, your blood group. You've got that O negative.
Negative, yeah.
Yes, which in a lot of abduction cases, a lot of the abductees have O negative blood group.
Okay, and but would you say they were with the Greys or because of that blood group or?
No, it's more to do with, I don't know, but from what I've heard and read, it might be to do with the reptilians.
Okay, well that might be something to do with my green eyes then.
Yeah, yes, it could be because, certain genetics they can breed better with or influence more.
Well, I mean, I do remember, and not just on one occasion, but quite a few occasions waking up with bruises on my body. And my husband would just look at me and go, where the hell did they come from?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
maybe.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it may not be there, I don't know, but it just seems that just what others have been saying, the O group, the breeding program, that's why they want. Oh, actually, there's something about Zeta Reticuli, the Greys, or from Zeta Reticuli, they say that their homeland had been decimated and their race is dying, and they are looking to breed with humans because they used to look like humans. They used to be humans until they had a big war and they took out the emotional part of their genetics because they blamed the emotional part for causing the war and destroying the planet. The passion, they want to take the passion out, and they became very logical, and the closest to emotions they felt was curiosity. But now they knew that their race is dying because you need emotions and to evolve as well. So they're trying to bring it back and then going to find their ancestry, looking throughout the universe for their ancestry, and found humans on Earth to be the closest they could find to their ancestry.
Interesting. Well, I mean, my brother used to tell me that he had dreams where the whole family were in a craft, and he would tell me that, and he would be out fishing, and he'd be smoking on the boat at 4 o'clock in the morning with a mate, and there'd be loss of time because a whole ash of cigarette there, but like 1 second's passed. And he also used to tell me of seeing light under the water going underneath his boat as well. And we all used to think crazy day, but I think there might be something in it. Recently my mother's was put into a nursing home, and we had an experience where she can't walk, and we got a phone call and they found my mother out of bed. And not if a person falls out of bed, well, you fall out of bed. she was at the end of the bed with all the blankets tucked in, and she was curled up near the heater. And for me, that's, Mum can't walk. She can't even crawl anywhere. She can't do anything like that. And for her to be able to not only crawl out of these tucked sheets and all the pillow barriers around her, to crawl up and not just flip around to the outside, but to go across and then land on the floor. No, was not feasible. And the nurses were scratching their heads and they said to me, we don't know how this happened. We can't explain it. And I got really cross, and I remember looking up and I said, you touch my mum.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing that came into my head. It's like, yeah, haven't you had enough of her? She's 90 years old, you know.
Yeah. But they tucked her in, so they were kind of being caring.
No. They found her on the floor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the other end of the bed, and Mum she couldn't do that. It's impossible.
Oh, yep. Okay. I see. Yep. Because she was. Yeah.
The bed was completely tucked in.
Okay. Oh, that's, yep. Yeah. Wow.
So I mess with my family. I don't like that.
Oh, you've got that protector in you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got that reptilian in me.
Oh, yes. Oh. How does that feel to you, reptilian?
Well, when you said it, I thought, isn't reptilians supposed to be a hostile race of people?
Not all. Just like the human race, there's some good, there's some bad, and there's all different races, there's all different types. So I think the Dracos are the ones that have the reputation for being the really nasty ones.
Okay.
But there's terrestrial, there's the warrior. Yeah, I think there's different types as well, and yeah, not all of them are bad.
Yeah, well, I don't mind.
Okay, whatever.
What can I do, right? What can I do?
Yes.
Can't do anything about it. I mean, I think you might be right. I think I think I do have something. I definitely think I may have DNA, alien DNA in me. But what can you do? You know, I think what worries me.
Love yourself.
Yeah. What scares me is when I die, and this is what scares me, right? So because I've had a few out-of-body experiences, I'm aware that you leave your body, you go elsewhere. But I'm worried that I'm going somewhere else, or someone's going to take me, like the little hands that have had me going through the roof. I think that they may take me or might be waiting for me. So that's my only concern, you know, that I have. So
do you feel that you've got some friends on the other side?
Oh yeah, I do actually. I do feel quite protected.
Okay. Yeah, maybe practicing at the point, like before you go to bed, practicing so that at the point of death you can automatically call out to those friends. Or I don't know, I was told probably 30 years ago, this old man told me, and this was the first time I've ever heard of this, when you die, don't go to the light, it's a trap. Just to turn your back and just to say, I want to go back to source, or go back to my family, my soul family.
Yeah.
And that was like 30 years ago. And then fairly, I don't know, recently, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when I was listening to a man called Simon Parkes, he's the second person that I heard say that. Wow. And since that time, I've heard other people say that too. I think there is a real pure light, and there's that artificial light. So
how are you going to know the difference?
Yes, that's right. So because the artificial light can be very alluring, like they know what attracts humans, the soul. that, yeah, they might flash out these really wonderful feelings. I think, well, Simon Park said to practice when you go to bed at night, to close your eyes as if you're, if you're at that point of death, to practice saying, no, I'm going to go back to the source, or go back to my soul family.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Is that enough for today?
Yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot, and I love talking to you, Joyce, as usual.
I love talking to you too. Yeah, there's so much you've experienced that I can relate to.
Yeah, and look, I'm really, thank you for telling me things, especially when you think you're so alone, and then you realize that other people have had same experiences. It's such an eye-opener, and it makes you, because you do go through that moment of questioning yourself and whether or not I'm going mad, something's going on, what the hell's happening to me? And then you hear other people, and I love the way that people are now not afraid. They're not afraid to speak up. They're speaking out and saying something. But I think what we have to be careful of is when the government sneakily showing us videos of UFOs and things like that, because I think there's another agenda there of, something that they're trying to hide from us for years and years, and suddenly want to disclose to us that they're around. Sounds a bit sus to me.
Are you talking about perhaps a planned alien invasion?
Yeah, that's what the fake alien invasion.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know with the virus, what's the people who are scared are going to do what they're told. And if there is a fake alien invasion, of course, they're going to be terrified and they're going to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a virus, it's going to be aliens. They're going to stay indoors, do as they're told, another vaccination, another this, another that. Mm-hmm. You must. It's could be part of a bigger plan.
Yes. Tony Rodriguez said something interesting. About the whole sanitizing, the sanitizing your hands and cleaning everything. He's alluding that maybe they are bringing on that fake alien invasion, but really the aliens that have agreed to it want our planet to be sanitized, because maybe some of our bacteria isn't too nice to them.
Yeah, that's very interesting thought. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what is real and what is not real, isn't it, really?
That's right. Just have to keep an open mind. Yeah. And I guess the more information we have, the more prepared we can be.
Yeah, keep up the good work, Joyce. We love your work.
Thank you.
Love your work.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you so much for sharing such personal information.
Oh, my pleasure. And, my pleasure.
These days it's quite scary, I think, to share something that will go public. But it will help people, though. It will help.
I'm glad someone is listening. I mean, I hate bottling it up and no one hearing me. I felt like I was going crazy. I thought, what the hell's going on? It's only when people can tell their stories is when you can say, I can relate to that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I kept an open mind, because you just never know. Just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it's not real for someone else. Yeah. And